a copper mining town. So with that said, the town alone has tons of history.
Now, this mine started in a time when there was no workers' rights. In those early days, miners considered timbers to be more expensive than man. So a lot of this mine did not get shored. A lot of men were buried in these shafts. It's just one of the reasons why there's paranormal activity.
Could you please help me find my dolly? I lost her, and I really want her back.
These men who couldn't get help lined up in our hospitals begging for painkillers. The nurses gave it a name. They called it miner's moan. These guys out there moaning and groaning in such agony and could not get help. We think that's why our hospitals are so much activity there, is because of these men dying around this hospital waiting for help, begging for help.
We've had a lot of experiences here in this building. It was a couple months after I started working here, and there's above our bar we have glasses, you know, where we hold all of our beer glasses, shot glasses, all that. It was me and another girl, and it was just us in the restaurant, and we were on the other side of the bar, and we watched 4 glasses come off one at a time and hit the ground and crash 4 times. So at that point, we're totally freaked out. We get on the phone with our manager and we're like, oh my God, like please, because we have another restaurant right down the street and he was down there and we were up here by ourselves. I said, oh my God, please get up here. We're freaked out. Like, this is so weird.
It was one of the first concrete buildings built in Jerome in the 1800s, the late 1800s, and it was the nicest hotel in the area. I definitely feel like inside of the spirit room you can feel energy and see things out of the corner of your eye, but it's never like a full-blown figure or something. But there's things in here for sure. So many people. There's just so much energy left from everyone that's been in here. So yeah, I definitely feel things. I usually work at night and close by myself, and they're here, but they're not threatening. I think they like us.
At the end of the night, we wipe down our front door to get rid of all the fingerprints. And so that's the last thing we do before we leave. So in the morning, I opened up with the manager that closed with me the night before. And 3 mornings in a row, we saw a set of children's handprints on the inside of the glass. The restaurant, mind you, had been locked the whole night. So that happened not 1 morning, but 3 mornings in a row.
Ring around the rosy, pocket full of posy. Ashes, ashes, we all fall down.
The Jerome Grand Hotel, that used to be the old hospital of the town in the 1900s.
The Jerome Grand Hotel up here was built in 1926 as the old United Verde Hospital, the 4th and last hospital built in town. It was in operation until about 1950. When it was built in 26, they did install this original Otis elevator. It was the second one of these self-serviceable elevators to ever first be installed, and it's the oldest original self-service elevator left in operation nowadays, and it is still in use. It runs like a champ. Most of the years when this was run in the hospital, they weren't even using penicillin. So there was definitely a high mortality rate. They saved a ton of lives. There's a lot of babies being born in the building, but they're still averaging well over a death a day the entire 23 years it was open. So it was said anywhere from like 9,000 to 10,000 deaths occurred in the hospital during its heyday. Room 30 actually was the old nursery for the hospital. It would have connected into the grand suite, which had the actual old delivery room in there. So room 30 was said to be the old nursery. A lot of the third floor rooms were private recovery rooms, but they did have the operating delivery room on the third floor, and then they did have the psych ward on that third floor as well. Just 4 rooms committed as a psych ward. They had the top level, the 4th floor, added in 1929, and at first that was added for women for a baby boom, was extra rooms for women for the first 6 to 8 years it was opened. But shortly after that, they had a big need to house people with tuberculosis, kind of have them separate from the other patients, so they ended up turning that whole top level into pretty much like a tuberculosis quarantine zone. The first weird experiences started when it was the hospital with the nursing staff members, but when they first opened up, they definitely were getting some weird things. Just at the time, they weren't trying to promote any sort of haunted aspect to the building. Back in '96 when they first opened, the hotel owner really just thought it'd be bad for PR, if anything. So we weren't documenting any of the weird occurrences at that time, but we constantly were getting weird things happening. And we're definitely said to be like the most haunted building in all of Arizona. Some would even argue we're in like the top 10 of the whole United States. We get a lot of reports about, one of the most commonly reoccurring things are reports about a ghost cat that's in the building. As a hospital, we have no record of any sort of cat living in the building. There were a few caretakers that watched over the building, but we don't know of any that necessarily had a cat. But and we don't allow cats down at the hotel. But we get tons of these ghost cat reports, from weird noises to the full sightings of the cats. We've had pictures taken with the ghost cat in them. Another one that also reoccurs is probably the woman in white, who's a woman always seen in a long white gown or a long white dress, kind of walking through the hallways or looking out the windows of the building. Her sighting started when it was a vacant building, before it was open as the hotel. The townspeople would say they would see somebody looking out the upstairs windows, moving blinds away, kind of looking out when the building was said to be unoccupied. So that's kind of where her stories first started, but ever since we've been open, she has, made quite a few appearances. We've gotten some really good pictures of her. We don't really know her true story, but different mediums have come up here. They believe that she's like a mother looking for a lost child. She lost during childbirth, but we really just don't know exactly what her real story is or who she really is as an individual. But she is often seen up there on the higher floors. Quite a bit, mainly like on the 3rd and 4th floor, I believe. I've seen like these front doors open by themselves, like both of them open up fully wide right at the exact same time. They're not very heavy doors, and they do open outward, so it would have to be some sort of draft to come through here that could possibly blow them open. But when it happened, I just simply heard them start to creak, and I turned and looked, and they were just slowly opening up. I was sitting right here behind the desk. No draft came by me. and really we're a pretty solid concrete structure, so you don't really get too many drafts coming through the building for sure. So I've had that happen. I've set down items, turn around. I've had some hoot around on me before. I've heard weird things. I've yet to see a full ghost, but experienced tons of the little things, enough to know there's somewhere presence for sure.
I can't explain it. None of us can. You know, it's just this town. It's haunted, no doubt. No doubt.